It's no other person than Barrister Bayo Ayo. He's a developmental expert, analyst, a guru, if we call it that way. I'm guru. I'm giving him all this appellation because by the time he starts, you know that he deserves it. Not only that, he's a grassroots politician and, of course, a legal practitioner of no mean repute. I'm talking of no other person than Barrister Bayo Ayo. You are welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. Morning. How are you? Thank you very much. Nice to see you again.
You partook in the elections.
Yes, I did.
Actively.
Proudly so.
Proudly, Papa. That's good. So the pride and the activism involved in it, can you just let us have a feel of your experience of the election?
Well, this is not my first time, so I don't know what exactly you want, but I will let you know that this particular election, this immediate election, is an eye-opener, and honestly, I think that it is actually the preface to the better things, particularly as it relates to elections in Nigeria, to come. And I say that with all sense of responsibility, because like I said, it's not my first time, but it is the first time that indeed, to a very large extent, the election truly reflects the position of things. In the sense that I think the introduction of beavers is the joker.
Okay.
Because for the first time, people are conscious of not overvoting.
Good. Yes.
In fact, I tell you that the political party that I belong made it one of its campaign's points that as you go to the local people, please tell them not to ensure that there is no overvoting, since the beavers will capture the number of people who came to vote, and that is what you compare with, and that's a fantastic thing. Unlike in the past when at some point in the election, in the voting process, you will see parties coming together to agree that, okay, don't let us waste this polling, the ballot papers, the extra ballot. Let's use everything, and everybody's happy, But this time around, yes, there have been complaints or there have been comments that the outcome or the turnout is very low compared to previous elections. But I think that no matter how low it is actually a true reflection of those who came out, plus or minus here and there.
I want to agree with you at that point. Sorry to cut you short because, well, I'm involved in elections, and just to confirm what you just said, and we found out that the number of people who come out to vote, when the result is coming out from the various units, where is this number coming from? Exactly. But of course, you see that indeed they counted, and you see that this number hasn't been inflated.
Yes. So that's something I believe is a step forward. Another thing that I also noticed on this election is, and yes, we all complained about the MFLA cashless policy and all of that, but it reduced to a very large extent money, the role of cash in vote buying, because there are most of, if not all the politicians could really not lay their hands on cash.
But
and so, yeah, we heard that in some places there were promissory notes. And of course, that for a Nigerian politician is as good as nothing. So that is another step.
Now let me just come in again. The promissory note, because immediately after the election, 2, 3, 4, 5 days and a week after, it was noised all over that a particular party promised, and of course they have to give them or else. And they started protest and so on. Right.
So, to me, that is another step. Now people are like, oh, okay, if you want to buy us, okay, where's our money? So we now know if, for instance, any political party made a promise to pay and they don't pay, it definitely will affect the fortunes of such a party in the next election. But then again, the fact that the cash were not being exchanged for votes,
as it normally
was the step. So I believe that at the very best, the next elections would also have a reduced cash influence on votes.
What do you say about the security system during this election, as much as you're quite involved?
Well, again, that's another step forward for me, because I think this is the first election we record the least number of casualties. Let me just put it that way, or fatalities. Yes, in some places across the country there were, cases, but there were pockets. Unlike before that, it's always general, like, okay, you come to your state, everywhere is, you go to Lagos, you go to Kano. And another thing is this, look at the votes from, the usual votes of 3 million, 2 million from those places, reduced.
Yeah. Because of beavers and all.
So we are making, I believe, we're making progress. It is not yet Uhuru. Yeah. And like they've always said, that there is no election that is perfect. Yes. What we look for is the near perfect. And so maybe we are nearer the near perfect now. The next election will tell. So it means that we're making progress. And hopefully we'll get to that point where we will have little or no complaints about elections. I see that the majority of the complaints in this election is actually about process. Yes. And there's just one simple process that everybody's, and the umpire at that point had, warned, and nobody actually paid attention, that its software, whatever it is that they're using, was being attacked regularly, and they kept it. So speaking to ICT experts, some of them have said that, there were things they ought to have done. But again, technology is so advanced that as you are putting one down, because I just read in the papers yesterday that the US, Washington is already preparing for the 6G. The 5G has not taken off. So you can imagine what happens in a situation in a country like Nigeria or Africa, where we depend on people to supply us this technology. And so when you look at it from that, the attacks may not even come from here. Yes. It will come from anywhere in the world.
Because it's an online.
So when INEC came out to say, we cannot continue using this particular system, we ought to listen to them. Why? So that they would explain to us what happened. But emotions and got the better of a lot of us, and also shouldn't have done it. But again, it came because, of course, in every general rule, there's always an exception. Yes. So the exception in this case is, if we do this, we may not have gotten out of it even as at now if they had continued with that system. Yes. Because I suspect that the three major parties must all have the same thing that can jam. I'm talking from my pedestrian knowledge of how it works, so don't take me off on that. But so I look at it from my pedestrian point of view. Okay, so I put this thing down. This attack is coming from here, one is coming from here, one is coming from there. And so the poor thing probably got confused and says, okay, look,
I don't know
tired.
Which one to come.
But there's an alternative. The alternative is, as you get your results, scan it and send it. We will now post it. We may not be able to do it on time, real time, but we'll still do it, which I understand has been done. In fact, somebody sent me a link a while ago. You click on the link, you check your unit results. If you doubt it or you want to contest it, bring it out. But fortunately, from what we have seen so far, none of the parties at the tribunal have brought any results to contest, which means, to a large extent, the results are okay.
Yes, you went somewhere now. I don't want to leave that place. The issue of technology that she raised. We know that definitely Nigeria is poor when it comes to that. We depend, as you equally said some few minutes ago, we depend on the outsiders. Then can't we now see how we can improve on our own technology?
I may have to disagree slightly that Nigeria is poor in technology. I think we're well advanced in technology.
Okay.
What we still lack is the self-confidence to
Move it.
Yes.
Okay.
To apply it to ourselves.
Okay.
So you find that as part of hope,
As someone who is
as part of
involved
How about the resources like funding? Because it takes a whole lot of
that's
them.
what I want to touch on. Maybe as part of the corruption, you make it seem like, oh, we have to go to this country or that country, or else why would we be printing our naira notes
outside.
abroad? You understand? The worst you can do is bring those machines in, and
do the
I'm sure
printing,
that those things can be done here. So if we have to take on technology, it will take a whole day because there are,
Issues
various issues involved in it. But I tell you something. In Nigeria today, there are two major industries that are thriving without government: ICT and entertainment.
Yes.
And ICT is also driving the entertainment.
Yes.
So you find that there are young people now. People wonder, where do these boys get money from? They're not into government contracts. They're not into
Yahoo.
corruption. They're not
fraud.
into Yahoo or fraud. They are ICT experts who sit
Big time.
on their systems in their rooms.
Big time.
They do jobs, and then you now have people who are actually working in America from Lekki. They get paid. Virtual work. So this is technology. This is part of it. So all we need to do is begin to enhance, it and say, this is how we want to apply. It's called local technologies. We both went to LASU, and I'll tell you what has happened in LASU of recent. The student union elections are held using the local voting machines developed on campus. So, I'm not a technology person, but I think that they look very simple.
Yes.
I don't know what goes into them, but they look very simple.
Yes.
So what do we need? We just need the government to say, the next election is coming up in 4 years' time. Can we have the NEDs, the ICT guys, develop a local BVAS
for us
that will require these, and they tell you, how did China start? It's the same way China started.
Yes.
Buy one product, pull it apart, reproduce the parts, put it together, then it comes out as fake. Then once you complain it's fake, you go to the next level. Oh, this one looks better than the last one until they get it right.
Yes, talking about getting it right, because I don't know, it's only like Nigeria. I've taken part in elections in Ghana, even Rwanda, Libya, Zimbabwe. After the elections, the only country that they are the twin brother of Nigeria is Kenya. That they have election, there will always be crisis. Unfortunately, I've not been to Kenya to monitor election. But these other countries that I mentioned, after the election, everybody goes home.
Well,
why is it that
it's
Nigeria?
always about interests, and the interest is not a general or national interest. So it's always someone who's pushing. I've always said it, and I don't take elections as serious. I think elections, for those who love to watch soccer, should be taken as soccer. As
It's a game.
It's a game. You know that in the game of soccer, when you score a goal, they will carry the ball back to center to start the
all
game.
over again.
When the game ends, everybody goes home,
home.
looking forward to the next match.
Next match. Yes.
Yes.
We'll hold it on that.
Yes, there.
We'll come back again.
Okay.
Come back again.
Thank you.
You are welcome back. I don't know, maybe you are enjoying the ride. I am enjoying the ride seriously. In fact, make we dey go. No break, no jam. In fact, there won't be jam. With our guests, there can never be jam. Rose.
Obviously, definitely, because this is a sweet ride. Please stop calling. Of course, you can send in your messages. But seriously, this is actually a very interesting one, because there was something that was interesting about what he said. Like, if you're going to court and you're not bringing out the result as an evidence, it means you are okay with the results. So it brings me to the question of why go to court?
Okay.
So the essence of going to court right now is challenging the process.
Yeah.
The two losing parties have said is the process they are challenging. And I have a feeling that they were afraid to bring results because, of course, everybody is a sinner before God. So before the Nigerian people, everybody, have sinned and come short of, So if you bring, because
I didn't know you are a pastor. You see, you are even taking my job away from me.
so
I
if
don't know
you
what I will talk again. Carry on, pastor.
so if you bring the result where you said you allege that I'll bring your own, this one will bring. So by the time you
The results now fall around you.
Yeah, so because we all knew what
What
we
happened?
did, we are not all bringing results. So
The principle as a lawyer, since you have taken my job as a pastor, I will now come quickly to my law. And the legal profession says that he who comes to equity.
that's why we clean hands. So if our hands are soiled, how do we get justice? So you find a political party that says, oh, the winner has not won yet because there's the process that brought him in. Another one says, oh, the person that is saying that I did not win, did not. Then, there was this joke about you have 3 runners, 1, 2, 3. Then number 3 says, no, I won. Number 2 says, I won. So somebody said, can number 2 and number 3 please agree on who won?
Who won amongst them?
Number 1. Number 1 says that the 2 of them are. So we have this divergent thing. And election petitions follow processes. It
It's
follow,
straight-jacket
yes.
process.
What are you challenging? You said there's a problem with the election. What is the key ingredient of election? Results. So, results have come. You say, no, leave the results that came. I don't like the process that produced this result. So it says, I am okay with this result, but the process that produced it. It was the same process that produced the one that you are claiming
that you win.
Which seem conflicting, because if you're challenging the process, it means you're not okay with the result.
That was your question now.
Yes.
And that's why I found out that reading through the documents saying nullify the election. Nullify the election. Let's have a new election. So that was what brought about that thing of interim government. That's so some people, this is a very good opportunity. They ran to government. Let's have an interim government while we sort out this election. So, like I was saying earlier, election petition is like a football match. Score your goal, the opponent carries the ball, he goes to the center to start the match. Eventually, he may win, he may lose. But once the match ends, you go home. Prepare for the next match. If you think that the referee did anything wrong, yes, you go to FIFA, which is the case of the tribunal now. But in that case, you are saying this guy did not win. Why? Because there was a foul attitude. So they will have to look at it.
Yes.
That, okay, was this foul,
enough
to
to disturb?
So it's the same thing with the election. Until we begin to see sportsmanship
I remember Maradona.
in elections.
Who scored with
Hand
the
of
hand?
God. He says it's the hand of God. That goal stays till tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
So it tells you that these things happen.
Yes.
It was obvious it was a hand.
Hand.
When they asked him, he said it was the hand of God. But that has
And
gone.
it was allowed.
It's gone. It has formed part of football history.
Yes.
It's the same thing with elections from 1950 whatever to 1960 to 1979.
We've been having
We've been
issues.
Having issues, and so we may not be able to get out of it until we all see, first and foremost, that indeed what we are pursuing is for national development.
Yes, I
And
mentioned.
if I don't get it,
Yes.
as long as this person, you got it, no problem. Even the Kenya you mentioned earlier, the last election, the president, the guy that won, I can't remember whether it was on the swearing, called
All of them.
All of them
you are right.
apologized. And they all
and they
come.
moved on.
And the country is moving on. So can we have that in Nigeria?
In fact, that's where I was going.
That's
Are you a
what-
witch?
So
That's where I'm going.
So that's one of the things we need to imbibe, the spirit of sportsmanship. Yes, I've lost, but in losing, yes, I'm not discouraging anybody from the tribunal. I want to see what will come, but I have lost. But hey, for the next 4 years, I'm going to be challenging you. I'm going to be challenging every policy that you make. But however, these are some of the things I think you should do. All for the good of the people of Nigeria. But because of selfish interests, a lot of times, we all think that it is my right to win this election. If I don't win, then we'll bring it down. What is the cost of bringing down the country compared to your election, to your winning the election?
Sorry, sir. I don't want you to leave. You have raised a fundamental point. I want to become the president. You want to become the president. Along the line, you won or I won. Obviously, one person has gotten it. You have mentioned it, but is there no way that even before the elections now, the peace committee is trying it, but I don't think that has, maybe it's just a mere ceremony, maybe sometimes it's not even what the paper they signed on, because immediately the election starts or even the result starts coming in, they forgot the peace committee idea, and they start.
The question, sir, is what is the content of that peace agreement?
No, whichever way the agreement is that maybe they will all stick to the result, they will abide by the
I
result
think
and
that,
so on.
you know, now that you are mentioning it, I just realized that we all get excited that they are signing.
Yes.
Nobody knows the content of the peace.
Yes.
To my mind, I think that the peace committee agreement usually is about there will not be thuggery, there will not be this and everything to us, but nothing post-election.
Yes.
You see, post-election is what we should
Be looking at.
now.
Okay.
Election has come and gone.
Yes.
I have lost some, I have won some. The ones that I have won, can I consolidate it? The one that I have lost, how do I, can the court bring it back? If the court can't bring it back, we'll move on. But to say that I will form enmity with you,
Yes.
and then I will now, like one of the candidates went on air, making inciting statements and all of that. The question I then ask is, what exactly is your interest? It's a Nigerian nation, if you like. Yeah, yes, there were ethnic profiling here and there. I took everything lightly because it is only a man who is not confident of who he is that will be affected by the fact they said I am Yoruba, I am Igbo, I am Hausa. Am I not? I am.
It is your character and your work that
for
will now
those of
sell
us-
you out.
For those of us who grew up with the all nationalities, in fact,
In a multiracial
we
environment.
didn't even know the difference. We only knew names.
Boys, we play ball together now. We
So-
yab each other. We grew up
So
together.
the question is, you now
So
come
why
to
will
election,
politics?
then you now tell me that
No, I'm Igbo, I'm Yoruba,
am I
I'm
not
Christian.
Am I not Yoruba? Am I
I'm
not a
Christian, I'm Muslim. In my family, there are Muslims.
So we need to look at all of these things, and that's why I'm not too. I don't know if I agreed or not with Professor Shibajo's submission or posture about removing state of origin and putting state of residence or something, or place of residence or something. But because we are still in a cultural society, we cannot run away from that.
No way.
Because, and I'm going to delve a little bit, I've always said it, there's no nation in the world that developed on other people's culture. So in Africa, we are in a quagmire. We're struggling with the African culture as against the English culture and the American culture. Now the Canadian culture is being introduced. Then the Chinese culture is also coming. And Africa is, taking everything in.
Embracing.
And then we have issues of, like in Yoruba land, where my son will wake up in the morning and say, good morning, without prostrating. And I have to now, I can't remember anybody telling me prostrate.
No, it's natural.
So it's not that I have to tell him prostrate.
You raised an issue earlier on, which I want us to hit very well. As a politician, every politician wants to grab power or to get power. But again, some of them, I like my Muslim brothers, they will say it is God that gives power, and he gives it to, that has power, and he gives it to whoever he wants. Can't we imbibe, can the politicians imbibe, I'm asking a two-barrel question, can the politicians imbibe this notion that power belongs to God and he gives it to anybody? That is one, sir. Then the second leg, yes, they have signed the peace agreement at the peace commission team. Then maybe we'll now use this opportunity to tell the peace committee to include their behavior post-election.
Post-election.
You can only take the, is it the horse or the ass to the river?
Horse.
The horse.
The horse.
Yes.
It's difficult to force it to take
drink
the water.
Okay.
Take religion. Yes, power in power in the religious books, different from the power that they are seeking. So when that power that is being sought is before them,
Yes.
virtually every politician forgets what they were taught in the churches and in the mosques, which is where our problem. That's why somebody once suggested that instead of all this Bible and Quran, can we start swearing by Ogun?
By Ogun or God of Iron.
Because the religions have been taken for granted. So when you talk about power as being devolved by God Almighty, either in any of the religions, you will realize, one of the candidates, let's face it, said he told God, that I knelt down and told God that if I am not going to do good to Nigeria, let me lose this election. He has lost the election. But he's saying, no, I did not lose. Isn't that in contradiction to what you... Because it was part of his campaign strategy.
And it is in the public domain.
Now, you've lost the election, you're saying no. In actual fact, and I'm sorry to delve into the religion part, a lot of people who made predictions, I'm not going to call it prophecy like they call it, who made predictions, failed. Now, rather than apologize, a lot are coming up to give us this bold face, and all of it. So it's all part of the process.
Okay.
So if I said to you, vote for me, but before you vote for me, let me tell you, I've assured God that if I lose this election, it means that it's God. And then I lose and I come back to you and I say, I have not lost. I'm supposed to win this thing. So don't you think that God had a purpose for you not to win? So that is where the issue of God factor comes in. So politicians in Africa don't think God when the thing is before them.
So, or in the alternative, fortunately we've seen one or two that are in power, they now start playing God.
Yes, that's because, again, that is another thing we have to look at. Disagree with me, but I tell you, democracy is alien to Africa.
Yes. Yes.
It's totally alien to Africa.
Autocracy is it.
Autocracy is an African thing.
Yes.
And that is why you have to go back to the traditions and the culture of the Obas and the chiefs who hold sway over their communities.
Talking about Obas and chief, this issue of Oro is tradition. Oro is tradition.
Yes.
Can you question the Oba, who has some divine inspiration?
Nobody can question, because the other part of that thing truly is that there's no time fixed for it.
Yes.
It can come as necessitated.
Like
by
as you say in law, expertise.
Yeah, exactly. So
It just comes down.
If the gods decide that we need to have peace and Oro has to come out. So it's unfortunate that it was coincidental to the election period. And of course, brought in a lot of suspicion.
Yes.
And all of that.
Yes.
But then my own is this. If Oro comes out at night, particularly the Oro, whatever,
yes,
it has its conditions.
Yes.
It has its terms.
Times and time.
It didn't say, I'm not sure they did it on election day.
No.
So, it got a lot of us scared.
Yes.
I can't go out. But the truth is, what are you doing out at night, truly? But again, that is another thing we have to look at. Okay. It's part of the culture.
Good.
The only reason why we are contesting it now is because we have disrespected our culture to that level.
Yes.
And that's also is another issue because also the custodians of the culture has their own or have their own blames. So, but let us, you know, venture into all of that because it brings us back to the religious thing, and religion and politics ought not to mix.
You know, you said something about Sanwo-Olu taking out the state of origin and putting in the place of... Okay, Professor Yemi, okay, yeah. I wanted to put suggestion to put in the place of residence. You said you don't see it as a necessity. Why? Because I believe...
I said I'm
okay, you're like in between.
Yeah. Is it necessary? Is it not necessary? Should I forgo my, in quotes, land of origin to place? Which means that if I move to any part of the country now, that becomes my place of origin.
I think, don't you think it's a move to actually make a whole lot of Nigerians forget this thing of ethnicity and tribe?
It kills culture. That's what it does. And I'm a stickler for culture. That's why I said I like the idea, fantastic idea. It means I can live anywhere comfortably. But then again, some of us are still not as Christian as my Oga here. Some of us are still practicing some of this
religion.
Yeah,
when I was in school,
cultural religion. Some of us still believe in those things. So will I carry my gods to a strange land? I'm not sure, but I think even the Bible.
The Bible said, yeah, that's why he frowned on this seriously.
So
Solomon was busy engaging in strange gods, and it's one of the things that brought him down.
So it becomes a strange god when I move my Shango or Ogun from here to say a state in the southeast that doesn't have anything to do with that. And so
you now go to Zamfara.
Or yes. So I'm in a strange land. Well, I'm in a place of my residence.
But you are in a strange land.
So we have to look at it, you know, critically before we jump into it. If we had a uniform cultural orientation, it is easy.
Yes. When I was in school, I studied a course called the West African Traditional Religion. We call it Watiri.
Oh, yours is Watiri. Ours was African traditional
religion. No, I did in A-levels. We studied it in A-levels. Then in the university, we did the ATR. Yes, in all, of course, we are taught all this cultural thing. I guess that even makes us rooted as Africans.
It's even a shame that you will sit here and say that you are taught your culture.
Yes.
When you should be, you know.
Should be the one.
No.
Do you know, sir? Do you know now that?
Not only Nigeria.
Do you know that we are now paying to teach our children the local languages?
Yes, I know that. No, get me right. The culture we taught, not Yoruba alone. We taught several
African traditional. Yes.
So I don't think it can be a shame because I didn't travel to those countries as a young guy.
If you study that course well, you will find that there are
uniformity.
Yes. It may come in different names and all, but it's the same thing, which tells us that Africa had
marriage, respect.
But all of that we have put aside. We have handed over to the white man and collected his own. The white man has gone and thrown those away. For instance, the issue of polygamy, which is also affecting a lot of things.
Yes.
The issue of polygamy is an issue that Africans are battling with.
Yes.
Somebody comes out and says, I'm taking a second wife, and the entire
community
goes against him. Meanwhile, those who taught us monogamy, they have their own issues, which they are also trying to bring to us. So the question is, should we sacrifice our culture or our cultural beliefs on the platter of modernism?
Modernism is the problem. We have this cultural belief in Africa, which our guests have really informed us that indeed Nigeria practices, Africa generally are known as autocratic people. We have introduced democracy. Democracy now is, you get democracy, democracy works through election. An election is about voting. Voting now, you now bring someone in who will now be the head or who will be the leader. And of course, having gotten there, because it's a powerful office. Our guest has already told us that indeed, because of that power, they will do everything to get it. Some have already agreed or made some statements, and along the line, they will now change their mind because that power is sweet. Why is it? Why is it that they now change their mind? My colleague is saying, how sweet? So you answer the two questions together.
How sweet? It's so sweet that a governor need not open the car door by himself. In fact,
he may not bath by himself.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. But I know that it's so sweet that you step out of your house for the presidency, for instance. You have aeroplanes that are waiting for you. You have pilots who are dedicated to your services. You step out of your house. What you are going to eat is not even your business. It's not even, you're not even bothered, you know. Meanwhile, in those countries where we borrow these things from, they pay for all of these things. In Nigeria, for instance, the budget for entertainment in the presidency runs into billions. And then we heard when Michelle Obama that told us that they had a dinner in the White House, and the following week a bill came. For the dinner they had, a bill came. The American president was in Downing Street. Yes. Of course, the American president goes nowhere but without the beast. At some point, they said the beast got stuck, and they had to tow it. You know. The man got a bill when he got back to America for the service rendered. So when are we going to start all of that? Because that is what democracy is. All about. So if we cannot take half of something, half of another, and it is not possible, and make it whole.
The Yoruba call is Amulumala.
So if you want a democracy, it must be democracy in the true sense of the word.
Absolutely.
But for as long as we say we are democratic, no, you have to vote this person. Even when they want to select the Obas, there are some form of voting, that goes on. So it's not that it's totally out of place. Yes. But democracy gives freedom for me to walk into your office as my governor and tell you this is what I'm going through. Of course, bearing some checks here and there. Yes. But democracy is not the governor having barricaded his office from like 3 miles away. And then I understand that the Aso Rock, that you have like 6 or 7 points before you enter. Yes. Now, if you cross the first one, they said once you cross a particular gate, it means that you have access into the place. Why?
Even when you get to the place, Papa, there is still some doors that you can.
Yeah, for security reasons, that's understandable. But to say that you have this.
Because in democracy, I have access.
There are parts of the warehouse that are open to tourists. There are parts of Buckingham Palace that are open to. What part of Aso Rock is open to Nigerians? We're not talking tourists now. None. The Aso Rock, people are prevented from even climbing the rock itself. Yes. So there are so many things we need to look at that our democracy, our elections, we are challenged. Yes. And until and unless we agree with ourselves that we are Africans and we can design a way out, we will continue to struggle. There will be winners, there will be losers, there will be problems, there will be crises. There will be thuggery.
No. I don't want us to go. I like the first aspect of it. Please talk to your colleagues now, the politicians. Let us agree. We are going for a football match. You use the analysis of a football match. After a football match, the players go home.
But don't worry, I put a caveat. There are times that the football match ends and I can go home and say there was supposed to be a foul. Yes. And I report to FIFA. Yes. And then FIFA looks at it. FIFA says,
where I'm going is that even with the report with FIFA, they are not.
No. It's a process.
Let us talk to the political class. Let's use this opportunity to talk to the political class. That is a game, and there must be a winner and there must be a loser. Then the second leg is that we'll now talk to the supporters too, who generally just get carried away and now begin to mess up. Because the politicians, unfortunately, I don't know, maybe you heard it or you saw it. It went viral. Dino was at the celebration party of Tinubu, I guess that should make some statement to these people who will now go to the street and start destroying and maiming, all in the name of political division. Whereas the principal actors are busy hobnobbing with each other. I won't be surprised tomorrow if Obi meets Tinubu somewhere, maybe at the airport or wherever, they embrace each other, they laugh at each other, and they are going. Or Atiku himself. So talk to our politicians and their supporters that let's continue governance. The election has come. We're going to play another football match in the next 4 years. So let us wait for that football match. My problem with Nigeria, like the Eagles itself, is that they will not practice. They will not come to camp. They only come to camp 2 weeks to a major tournament. And they want to win.
Help me talk to them.
Well, for me, like I said, because it's not my mainstay of income, maybe that's why I'm taking it very lightly.
You are
So,
part-time or partial.
so it's more or less like a side thing for me, like a hobby, which I love, which I love a lot, you know. So I'll go back to my office at any point. So the problem we should look at is not even what you're saying. It's a function of having our politicians having a second address.
Good.
A man who has a business he's running, when he loses an election, the first thing that comes to his mind is, I cannot lose this election and lose my business, so he goes back. So a lot of times, what I think what triggers this thing is thinking of, somebody said we spent, after spending 400 billion naira, and I was like, what? 400 billion to run an election. Now, the other part, which I'm also going to delve in, is people win election, they'll start keeping money for the next election. I don't understand that one. And I keep saying that if I win an election today, the money for the road will be done. Money for schools, the schools will be done. If I do all of those and you don't vote for me the next time, then that means there's a problem. If you prefer me giving you cash than those things, then there's a problem. So those are the psychology of both the voters and the politicians that we need to look at. So it may not necessarily be a matter of wanting to just cause crisis. It's a function of sitting down and thinking, I've spent so much money. Kai, all this thing is gone, and I don't have anything to do. Because again, if you notice, the lifespan of an average professional politician in Nigeria after office is not usually more than 4 years.
That's true. That's true.
Because when he leaves office, he starts plotting on how to get back there. And he keeps spending the money. And when he loses that election, that is the end.
You don't hear about him anymore.
And that may also account for why from 1960 till date, there has not been many generational transmission within political families as we have in other places.
Yes.
Unless you can tell me one family that has generationally.
No.
Do you get what I'm saying?
I get it.
So because every generation ends its own after its tenure because of greed, avarice, and all the necessary things. So nobody wants to trust your brother, your son. Again. What you are stolen is enough.
Isn't it enough? It's enough for their 4 generations.
And I've been hearing it seriously. It's something that bothers me. The concept is that a politician is a thief, that he goes to office to steal because of what you just said now. They will say,
Are you saying that?
I'm saying that with authority, I'm saying it. That's a concept that every politician goes to office to steal. And you hear people, the side talk will be, yes, he has stolen, he has eaten his own, let somebody else.
Well, I also think it's a system. I think that the Nigerian system is built to corrupt anybody.
The people who
Yeah,
manage
because
the system.
if you come into
Office.
the
Meanwhile, I'm saying this.
let's take the National Assembly for instance. There are 360 members in the House of Reps and 109, so that's about 400 and something.
Yes.
And you have just about 10 or 15 upright persons in the midst of
Those numbers.
how will they function? So until you have the majority, then we cannot go anywhere. So that's my position. I wouldn't want to say more. And since it's coming from your mouth,
It's quite clear that we have an issue. And our guest has
we have
rightly...
issues.
Papa. And our guest has really hammered it. And you know why I told you that this man is a man of timber and caliber? And to me, he has really lived up to expectation of the appellation that you have given to him. Rose.
In fact, I would say I really enjoyed the part of the religion and the democracy part. That's in depth. In fact, that's a take home. That's a take home. I really enjoyed myself. I'll say thank you so much, Barrister, for being on the show. It's been an amazing ride. Like I said, I knew it was going to be enjoyable and
fact, you were in the
educative.
spirit, too.
Yes, I was in the spirit. I'm still in the spirit.
That's good.
Yeah, so it's a good one. And until then, I'll see you next week. My name is Rose Blossom, and please do enjoy your weekend.
And from me, I don't have much to say. My co-hosts have finished everything. All I will say is thank you for watching, and don't miss us next week. And to our guests, we really want to thank you for coming.
thank you for inviting me.
More anointing, sir.
Amen.
We will be together next week. Tell your colleagues and your friends that Voters Forum is coming up 12 noon on Saturday. Don't miss it.